Well, I'd like to welcome all of you to the Great Lakes campus. Those of you who come from outside the Great Lakes. Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain. We've been hearing these names a lot these days in the newspapers, TV channels, radio channels, debate competitions, and even the coffee shop conversations. All of them for the wrong reasons. Good morning, my name is Shubham Arora, and I'm here to present my states on why I think we should not bail out these countries. Well, the question of Eurobonds, which seems to be the central question, revolves around one simple argument, like all the wonderful arguments in the world, and that is money. The question is, if you're someone like Germany, or Austria, or Finland, or someone else who's been fiscally responsible for the last 15 or even 50 years, you know that you're now reaping the benefits of what you've done over the course of the last 50 years. Hence, you can go and borrow at a very low interest rate. In the great contrast, if you're somebody like Greece, you can no longer borrow at a lower interest rate simply because you're no longer a welcome member of the borrowing club. Let me give you an example. This Wednesday, one of the worst bond auctions in the generation of Europe, Germany was paying only 2.82% to maturity on their 30-year bond. Contrastingly, the 2-year yield on the Greek debt is 121%, which speaks a lot. Now, coming forward, I would just want to express that these South European countries, the Eastern European countries, they have stronger economic fundamentals, and they are completely shut out of the borrowing markets, or they have to borrow at a very high interest rates simply because they're not a part of the European Union. Now, the way the Germans would see it as the Eurobonds is essentially a case of putting lipstick on the pigs. And no matter how much makeup you put on a pig, it's essentially what it is, a pig. That is what it's going to remain. Now, we've been through this era of the Euro crisis. We've been through this era of 15 months of Euro crisis, and it was around 15 months ago that the European Union came up with the big bazooka of 750 billion euro fund to safeguard one single currency. 750 billion for one single currency, days after the 110 billion bailout of Greece on May 5th, 2010. Didn't work, did it? Ireland has been bailed out. A bailout for Portugal is in the works, and Greece still looks close to defaulting than ever before. And Italy is paying about 7% on its debt. The question to be asked is, why is this happening? We've bailed out this country once before, and we're seeing the same situation again. The problem is structural. The problem is deeper. There are deeper things to it. The problem gets complicated by conflicting news. The news of the finance ministers of the countries meeting together secretly at Luxembourg. The news that Greece might be contemplating getting out of the Eurozone, or is it not contemplating getting out of the Eurozone? There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. But the major issue here, the major issue is leadership, something that European Union keeps on rambling about, does nothing about it though. Germany especially, it's in a position where its economic output is greater than all these countries combined. It is in a position where it needs to take a stand on what it wants to do. Does it want to take the ball away from these PIGGS countries and throw it towards the Eastern European countries with better fundamentals who can help these PIGGS countries and help share the risk from Germany? Or does it, because it once said before the European Union that these Eastern European countries are not worthy of the EU membership, so basically retracing its word? Or does it want to bite its tongue, sit back and do something about it? The problem gets complicated because we have something called the state pension in the European Union. Every member who's beyond the retirement age gets a state pension from the government itself. Now, this pension is funded by the taxpayers' money. Now, essentially what we're talking about is the economies of the tax economies of these PIGGS countries, which are not really robust. So the pension benefits of these PIGGS countries are being paid for by German, Austrian, and Finnish taxpayers, which is something that might demotivate the last few economic powerhouses of Germany. I do understand that there is a risk of contagion. I understand that the ripple effects can be disastrous. But then the trade-off lies between, do we want a short-term solution and a longer-term problem, or do we want a longer-term solution with shorter-term repercussions of some sort? The other issue, there's a deeper problem. Mr. Borso, 24th of July, or 24th of November, was talking about the case of Eurobonds and trying to propel Eurobonds. It didn't work. The point is, European debt is completely unbalanced. The monetary policy is controlled by the European Central Bank based in Frankfurt. A central policy for the entire 17 nations. And the fiscal policies are controlled differently by every nation. So there's a stark imbalance in the inflation rates between, say, Spain and Germany, but the same monetary policy flows around. Such an imbalance will never be able to, they will never be able to sustain this imbalance. It's called the policy mess, to be technical. But what we're trying to say is that the monetary policy does not resonate with the fiscal policy to some other date. When we bail out them again, we defer them to some other date again. This is something called the moral hazard. Greece has been bailed out once before. What's there to stop them doing this again? And again, and again. We have to draw a line somewhere. We have to say, no, this is not happening anymore. I do understand that this might have shorter-term repercussions. I do understand that the economies might get affected over the short term, but this is the correct, in my opinion, this is the correct way to move forward for the longer-term benefit. Lastly, I would like to finish with the facts that I've stated before. There's a stark imbalance between structural conditions of these countries. The fiscal and the monetary policies don't match. And finally, these countries who are being bailed out are in no position to generate more revenue because their economies are not working. As Homer Simpson would have said it, I'm a strict vegetarian until I see a pig.